I was asked by the Rise Foundation, which is Steve Ross's Ross Institute for Sports and Equity, to moderate a discussion. And they were discussing the difference between equality and equity. Now, on the surface, I would say it's the same thing. I mean, there's not much of a difference. It's maybe semantics, but in reality, how they explain it is that equality is giving everyone the same thing. And they had a picture of three people standing behind the fence trying to look over that fence to watch a baseball game. You give everybody a box so they can look over that fence. The tall guy doesn't need the box, but he has one anyways. The person in the middle, the box is perfect for them because they can look right over the fence. But the box for the small kid is still not big enough. That's equality. You give everybody everything is the same, even if it doesn't allow everyone to have the same view of the world. What equity is taking a box away from the tall guy because he doesn't need it and giving it to the smallest kid so that he can now see. Now, what that requires sometimes is sacrifice. And in a sense, if you look at the boxes as resources and say you have limited resources, it takes innovation and takes ingenuity. If there's not enough boxes for the smallest kid to stand, there's not enough resources, there's not enough finances, whatever the resource you want to give or talk about, how can that little kid still see? Well, then it takes the burden of the tallest, the one that doesn't need the resources, to put the kid on his shoulders and look over. And really, that's what life is about.
The role of brands now, right? Yeah. In your mind, if you're consulting and you're advising brands on how to, communicate with their consumers, is it, you feel like it's required, they have to make their opinion known? Or is it okay to kind of just, walk that line and not make a stance? What do you think?
You can acknowledge that you might have a bias. Even if you don't see yourself as racist, just acknowledge that you might have a bias. And it's simple, but it's profound. Brands are listening, not just to who's in that room, that marketing room as we sit here and we craft a plan, but they're listening to everyone. Hell, NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, I've been to a few NASCAR races and it's like synonymous with it in a sense, but they realize that yes, they may lose a lot of fans, but they know that they're also going to pick up a lot of new fans who care about inclusion and care about the way that everyone thinks about their product. Coaches around the National Football League say you're going to take a knee. Roger Goodell got on a national social media platform and said exactly what the players wanted to hear. We do not stand, we will not stand for racism. Black Lives Matter. And they were wrong in the decision that they made. History judged them wrong 4 years ago. They have a chance to make it right now. And you're seeing companies, not just sports companies, but lots of them start to change their narrative about race in America.
Yeah,
like, I love the fact that the NFL has pledged $250 million over 10 years. It's fantastic. I would rather see Roger Goodell walk into black communities. I would rather see, Gary Bettman, as opposed to launching an initiative to have, minority coaches and executives in the NHL walk into a black community that doesn't necessarily have the resources to play hockey, but say, hey, if you guys are athletic and you want to learn about this, we have programs. Like, come show these minority communities that this is an option. Right? It's one thing to see an athlete all the time, a football player or a basketball player. Oh, I can be a football player, a basketball player. How about wanting to be a CEO or a commissioner or an astronaut or whatever it may be? That's where change happens. So money is fantastic. I love it, right? But presence is more important.